I'm Jules, and I'm covering James Van Der Zee, a photographer from the Harlem Renaissance. Van Der Zee was born in Lenox, Massachusetts, and in his youth it seemed like he would go into music, as he showed great promise as a professional violinist. And in his adult life even, he spent some time as a member of the Harlem Orchestra. But he started photographing when he was 14 after receiving his first camera in that same year. And in 1915, Van Der Zee moved to from New York, where he had been living with his father and brother, to New Jersey, and began work with photography as a darkroom assistant. The next year, after working as a portrait photographer in a small studio, Van Der Zee returned to Harlem. I think he was about 30 then. Van Der Zee settled back into Harlem at the same time. A wave of African Americans moved to the city as well. Such a burst of creative people and energy all in one place led, obviously, to what we know as the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was an artistic and intellectual movement that cultivated an intense sense of culture within an African American community. Photography, being a form of art, flourished in the booming Renaissance. It was important as well in preserving the energy and sentiment of Harlem's culture. Van Der Zee's photos are famed for how they captured the essence of a section of the city and the people inhabiting it. 2 years after his move, Van Der Zee, along with his second wife, opened his famous portrait studio called Guarantee Photo Studio. Van Der Zee quickly became the most well-known portrait photographer in the 1920s. And as business was booming, Van Der Zee photographed everyone from, an average working couple to renowned poets and other people like Countee Cullen. Though he primarily photographed portraits, Van Der Zee often took his camera out to public events like parades and photographed Harlem's people in their natural element. Personally, I think that those photos capture the true essence of Harlem the best. Part of what separated Van Der Zee from other photographers of the Renaissance period was his editing techniques in his photos. He often retouched and reprinted photos to develop the richness and soften the figures in the photo. He once told a TV interviewer, "If it wasn't beautiful, I took out the unbeautifulness, put them in the position that they look beautiful, and took out the defects." In the 1930s, business started to slow, and the talented Van Der Zee started photographing passport photos and other hired events. Though his work was popular within his immediate community, Van Der Zee did not become famous outside of Harlem until 1967, when his work was rediscovered. In its rediscovery, his work was a bit controversial as a true reflection of Harlem culture because of the staging and editing techniques that Van Der Zee used in his photos. However, his photographs ultimately were deemed unique and reflective of class and culture during the early 20th century Harlem. Today, James Van Der Zee's photos can be seen in exhibits throughout the country.